under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we bow our heads? Almighty God, we ask for you to open the gates of our nation so that our nation is and always will be a godly nation, a righteous nation, and that your gates will be open to America to keep the faith that we have in you. And may we grow strong with godly wisdom. You promise that you will keep us in perfect peace, him whose mind is steadfast, because we trust in you, Lord. We ask for hearts and minds that trust in you alone. You make the way of the righteous smooth, and lead us to walk into the way of your laws. O Lord our God, other lords besides you have ruled over us, but your name alone do we honor. Guide our decisions tonight. May we be aware of your grace, your honor, clear thinking, and sharp minds. In your holy name, Jesus. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Moss,
Aye.
Bierke,
Here.
Mueller,
Here.
Jovic, Akers,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Steichen,
Here.
Bialotta,
Here.
Durlow.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Nathan emailed me that he was out of town, had another commitment, so he's absent tonight for another reason. We tried a new arrangement tonight to give the board angle of view on the screen presentations. Normally we've got a table set up front, we walk to the back, so we can't turn and see the screen. So let's try this tonight and see how it works out. Appreciate the consideration, even though it looks like we're divided, we're not, we're just separated by distance.
Well, that's not good.
We're in the same room.
I like it because you can't see the board.
Yeah.
Very well. Agenda. Anybody have any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Additions, modifications?
I knew we approved the agenda is presented.
Okay, motion to approve agenda.
Second.
Motion second.
Yeah.
Discussion. Your please. All those in favor of the agenda as approved? Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved as printed. Previous minutes. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the previous meeting minutes? Yes.
Apparently there is a recording available for that last meeting, so that should be changed in the minutes.
Oh, yes, recording for the last meeting has been posted to our website, so.
So that change needs to be made to the minutes.
Okay.
I'd make a motion, but I wrote it.
The motion to approve with the change that Ken just suggested, that now that we have a recorded meeting from March 14th, that be added to the minutes.
Second.
I was asking for a motion, sorry.
Motion already.
I hadn't heard one yet.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
Akers by Lotta. Any discussion on that motion? Those approved? Yeah. Opposed? Same sign. Motion approved, minutes approved. Okay. Treasurer's report. Mr. Akers, you ready?
Not really. Yeah, no, I had some medical issues now. I can't really see like being on my glasses, I really clean them off. We did get rid of some money this last couple of months. We spit out the $150,000 for the Canyon Lake project. That's been said, I really haven't cashed a check yet.
Not quite.
No, but, we dispersed our year-to-dates are here on the board of directors, 2031. Administration, what was spent out year-to-date, 4,208. Basically, we have come down quite a bit in our cash fund. We've basically paid those two projects, but that's, anything else that you want, Leon can answer, any of the technical stuff on this.
Any questions on the treasurer's report?
I have a really dumb question. But in 2017, carryout funds for 2018, projected revenue, is that to be, that is what we have available in 2017, right? And then farther down, 2018 funds available is 561,979, but that's not to be spent until 2018, right?
Oh, that one.
I can try to-
Oh, I get Leon, what is that?
Your projected revenue for 2018 is 227,771. And we'll be taking
Right.
that up with our tax levy
Yeah,
request
that's on the
later.
tax levy section, yeah.
Check the date.
Question from James?
Did I get an answer to that?
Did I say, that's our tax levy for 2018, that'll be coming up later in the meeting, that's that dollar amount, 227.
Okay,
That's,
and so the 2018 funds available is
Are you-
what is to be spent next year, not this year.
Are you on the budget?
this proposed means of finance he's looking at on that sheet.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking what that number is for this year, next year, but is that available to us now if we need it? Or do we, or is that the proposed budget for next year and we cannot dip into it yet?
The two,
Good.
the 227,000 is a projected tax income for next year, 2018. That's just something to guide you in the budget. You don't have the money and you won't have it till the end of January 2019.
So the so the line that says 2018 funds available is 561,979.39.
You're reading in the budget. We're working on the treasurer's report.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of you
Yeah,
guys.
good.
It says proposed means of finance or something. I'm sorry, I got ahead of you guys. Save that question for next time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got it, and I thought they were the same.
I have a question on the expense for shredding the checkpoints.
On the check what?
The checkpoints that were shredded.
Right now, we're approving the treasurer's report. Those three items will be brought up as soon as the report's been approved for adding to the expense.
Any other questions on the treasurer's report? We'll get to A, B, and C here next.
You want to have a motion to approve the report first? And these are just to approve, the other three is,
Motion, we approve the treasurer's report.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion second. All those in favor, approve treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item A. James, you have pertinent, or you wanna leave this Leon, or there?
Yeah,
Yeah. Let me get on the,
why are we paying for check shredding when the banks offer that for free?
I guess I wasn't aware that banks offer it for free. This happens to be, there was a box of checks in the bottom of one of the drawers. I thought they were the next run of checks for continuation. Well, when I finished the box and picked that one up, I found out they were a duplicate set of checks with the numbers that had already been written, and the post office box was wrong. So evidently, back before we started, they got, the checks were wrong, and they bought new ones, and they just left them laying in the bottom of the drawer. So I took them down to the shredding company on Sixth Street and had them shredded. I don't know if the banks will shred checks that haven't been printed or what. I don't know.
Credit card and checks.
So that was at, the expense, $639. Software for recording, I ended up buying another, program on here that's working right now to record the meeting and stuff. That expense was $34.99. And then we still have the issue of the membership dues for Black Hills. You can consider that separate. Okay, the first two, or not okay them, whatever.
First two have been expended, basically, just
Yeah, I paid
catching up to those.
them and asking for reimbursement.
Okay.
Just make a note not to do that again. We can see the expense, no matter how small it is.
Well, hopefully I'll make a note not to double order the checks wrong.
Yeah,
I know what's going on, what happened here during the changeover between, what's her name, and myself.
okay,
She, ordered checks. I didn't know she ordered checks. I ordered checks, I just threw them in the box.
okay.
So I probably should have just, but I didn't. So,
Okay. Understand what the source was then, thank you. We've actually, I'd rather propose this as the two expenditures, as items A and B, because we've not committed to spending $100 on C. So I'd entertain a motion for A and B together. Ken?
Do we need a motion for that? Do you personally need to be reimbursed, or?
Yeah.
Oh, so you paid before, okay.
Yep.
Because normally something that's probably don't vote on.
Normally it's just paid for, right? So, to pay for those two expenses that Leon's covered, reimburse him, I guess that's where we're at. Motion for A and B is what I'm looking for.
So moved.
So moved. Moss, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item C.
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and pay the Black Hills, utility use, coalition, I can't talk.
Coalition?
Coalition, yeah. I think they've, looked into it enough to realize that we've been paying it, maybe it's a good, organization to stay in.
Trying to understand what we get out of them besides the minutes. I'm not sure. If anybody can affiliate water-based, work that they do or been involved with, that we'd be involved with, I'd like to hear that, I guess, myself. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I was asking too, opening for discussion. Most of the stuff I see them based on is trails in use, timber, you know, general recreational activities that, you know, there doesn't seem to be a lot of water based.
I'm not very familiar with them, so Ben?
I think, I mean, that's true, there's probably things that they don't actually relate to water. But one of the things that we do, is, we do a lot of work with the forest service. I think if you look at that report, the new forest supervisor was there, spoke about, what they're proposing to do here in the future, and one of the things is that part of the enforcement is to keep thinning the forest, which, as you know, the more they thin out the forest, the more water that's gonna be available for downstream users, because you get a higher yield once all the trees are already managed. I think from my perspective, that's one, for $100, I think that's not a bad idea.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was at that meeting that they had some time ago, that they talked about what they were doing. And the impression I came away with is, it may not be directly advantageous for our water district, but indirectly I think it's important for what they're gonna do in the future. And I think I would be in favor of, keeping the membership, just to keep in touch in what direction they're going with water.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of the last minutes that we were sent?
Yes.
Is there a chance that, Mrs. Dakota saw an email with a copy of the last minutes, so we'll be,
From the Multiple
prepared
Use
for the next
Coalition?
meeting?
Yeah, I sent it before the meeting. So you should have an email.
Okay, that I didn't get it. Thank you.
Yes, Ken?
Jen, I believe this organization meets in Spearfish. Did you go to the meeting in Spearfish?
No, it was here in Rapid City.
That's a different organization.
Black Hills Recreation
Oh,
Coalition.
right. Yeah, I agree with James. From what I've seen of this, and I read the minutes from South, they do act, I don't think we get that much out of it. I would probably vote against it, but like Dan said, it's just $100, so, you know, too bad.
With the Forest Service, we are properly thinning the last 20 years, we wouldn't have as much shovel as we have now. The only trees we're even talking about taking out now are bug damage ones, or getting ahead of the bug damage ones, it's not like a general thing. So we have to worry about taking out that trees so it's not lower.
Okay. Any other comments? Oh, Joanne?
Y'all know me, but I'll do it officially. I'm Joanne Noyes with the South Dakota Geological Survey. And I agree that the multiple use coalition is probably more of the trails. But they do the multiple use. So they want to protect the Black Hills and its use for everybody. The one thing about the trail system, and I go to the Black Hills RC&D meetings, and they are also really wanting to get on the people that use the ATVs and UTVs for those trails, because what they do is they tear up the trails, and they cause a lot of damage and runoff, and that affects your water use, because it runs off dirty water, and it gets in the streams, and it causes problems. Causes the total dissolved solids to go up, causes all sorts of problems. So, yes, it is geared towards different things, but overall it does affect the health of the forest and groundwater and surface water, so. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to vote on the motion. All those in favor of paying $100 for the dues, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Williams and Malata.
We need to go roll call.
Moss?
No.
Yerke?
Yes.
Mueller?
No.
Jovic? Oh, not here. Akers?
Yeah.
Williams?
No.
Steichen?
Yes.
Bialotta?
No.
Durlow?
Yes.
4-4.
Motion fails. Okay. Tax levy requests. We are on to next year's tax levy. Estimated tax dollars, maximum was $227,771. I believe our direction at this point in time would be, do we accept that value, or do we do another value, or submit a different request? I believe over the years, it's always been the max.
Yep.
Robert?
Our only other option would be to opt out, right? Isn't that the only- They got the other option?
Yep.
Would be opt- Yeah, we don't wanna do that, so.
So that's based on the max, levy that they can put on the assessed value. That number, 227,773, changes depending on new property assessment and et cetera, so.
My understanding is on that form, you got an or at the bottom is different from the two at the top. You can specify your value that you're looking for, and that, maybe I'm understanding.
Well, you can change the amount of levy. You're authorized up to 3 mills, I think. So you could say, we only want to go 2 mills, but you're at the max, so you can't go up any higher.
No, you got, you wanna go down, I guess, that's what I'm saying.
It'll end up being
Who
lower
calculated
anyway.
that number? Where'd that number come from?
Well, it's based on the mill levy and property tax values, the property values in the county.
That comes from the county. That form is from the county, and we need to sign it and send it back.
210,000 last year, I believe, so. a little higher.
217, it gives, yeah.
James?
I've been digging into the auditor's books with, also the assessor's office. That number's probably gonna change for a lot of people in the county, including that amount. So if we put in this amount, there's a chance we're gonna get more, or we're still gonna get the less amount anyway. They divided up parcels without telling people. So if you had a parcel that was always on one tax bill, and 5 acres here, 5 acres here, they were joining, and you might even have a building across them, they divided them back up to try to as if they're 2 sellable lots to charge them more. So assessments are going up without any evaluation.
Ken?
Property assessments are due to change this year anyway, since the new tax evaluation is coming into play with the new regime in charge. I've got a road district and, we're in the middle of filling this thing out, and our property value is divvied up. And it's how much that we want to withdraw from taxes as to how much we're going to put in to, repair, rebuild, or so on like that. There's no way of telling what this is gonna be. We won't know for another 3 months
Really the
what the
projection.
value's gonna be.
This is today's number. Right.
How long do we have to put this in? I've got in February or
Who by the ninth?
September 1st.
September.
This is taking more than one vote.
This is what we accept the tax dollars to utilize in the district, so. I don't believe it takes more than one vote to take that in. Dan?
Yeah, I've dealt with this for a few years. Oh yeah, Dan Richard, citizen. Dealt with this for a few years, and if you choose to opt out and lower, you'll never, get it back up again. And that is a fact. So, if you want at a later date, and I suggested this a while back, that if you wanna turn money back in, you can do that. But to opt out and lower, is almost impossible to get it back to where you need to be, if you decide to spend the money that you think you should have. So, if you opt out and then, or opt in and then, ask for more money, we're starting out to be reelected, but, it's easier then to bring it back. You can opt for 5 years and then automatically get it back. So, but opting out, opting and lowering and coming back, it's really not an option. The best thing to do is if you're concerned with how much money is in the bank or a kitty or whatever, you can turn it back to the county treasurer with conditions that it be spent on water projects in Pennington County only. If that's what you'd like to do, if you got too much money in it, that you think you have too much.
Thank you. Ken, did you have time? You had your hand up for a moment when you walked up.
Oh, yeah. I just clarify that number doesn't mean anything. That just says we are interested in getting the maximum
Right.
allowed. That's all we're saying.
Right.
Yes, please send us the money. That's all we're doing. Right?
Yeah, last year we got like 5,000 more than what was on our tax levy form.
We would like to see a motion. Hear a motion.
I'll make the motion that we check estimated maximum tax dollars available and send it back into the treasurer's office.
Second?
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, get that signed tonight. Just as a matter of housekeeping, whoever's, if you're speaking, and present yourself, who you are, et cetera, if you're affiliated, please state that. And there's a sign-up sheet in the back table, so we'd like to see you sign in as well, so. 2016 annual report. Treasurer and admin.
This is the annual report based on the CPA's going through the financial statements. This is what was sent to Pier. Are there any questions about it, or?
Comment I asked about, with Leon and Emily today about the 40,000 plus that went to H2E in the year 2016. The DNA sampling at the bottom there. That was partially for the bargain price they got for the testing company to be paid off in advance to get the rate.
Yeah,
The
like
discount.
almost all of that, we went to Source Molecular for the sampling. We paid in advance, then we got a discount, so everything's paid for that part of the project for this year. They have it in their account for it, so.
Does anybody want that number? Any other questions regarding any information there?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman. So, kind of what I asked Mr. Moss, that what, the high Suba community water system now is up and running from Gilbert,
It is up and running, has been for,
and it's totally okay, it's running smoothly.
so far, so good.
So no.
You gotta see the place, it looks like a mansion compared to what it was.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, motion to accept that report.
Well, so moved that.
Pardon?
I move to accept that.
Motion second to accept the report. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Three, administration contract. Start out by saying thank you. They knocked $10,000 off the top this year from the past two. That's what they're proposing. Content is the same as our letter last year, outlining the functions they're responsible for, and then the extra items that they're doing. Second page. Time to look that over. Any questions? Field those now.
And that portion included.
This is one that will require two votes. There's a motion on the floor.
No.
No, not two votes.
That's only for projects. Contracts, just,
Motion? Accept. I hear a second, or we're talking over something. Ken Moss, second. Okay, discussion on the motion. Accept the terms as for renewal, effective August 1st. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, for another year. Galen, do you have any news for us on USGS sampling? You on TV?
What's that?
You gonna make it on TV?
I did not make it on TV.
Oh,
So,
man.
for the record, Galen Hogestrad, USGS. Nothing additional to add on this request. We haven't substantially changed or refined some of the lab details, but for the most part, the plan is the same as what we talked about 2 months ago. We actually sampled for the first time yesterday to line up with your project, with the source tracking, so we just wanna make sure that we get on that same schedule. So we realized we were at risk by doing that technically. So we have conducted the first round of sampling, the boat floated, everything went well. Yep.
Some more
So-
risk on the boat than the sand.
It was 8 feet by the dam. So.
Bob, you were in attendance yesterday, weren't you?
I just went to the sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
Didn't know Galen was busy floating around, and I
Nice.
watched him. I have a couple of questions for
So
you.
you- all 5 samples yesterday?
Yes,
As
we
your
got-
map showed?
Yep, so we did upstream and downstream on that creek, and three samples in the lake.
Okay. Question, Bob?
Yeah, I read through this again, and I noticed that, it actually talks about what you're sampling and so
Sure.
forth, and your contract. And I asked if heavy metals might be included somehow. Is that going to cause any additional expense?
The metals would be pretty expensive. They're maybe on the order of $100 to $200 per sample. So I think for now, I'm leaving those off. I'll kind of run down and give the analytes we're sampling for our nutrients. So dissolved phosphatol, phosphorus, nitrogen nitrate, ammonium nitrogen, total nitrogen. Doing chlorophyll and biophyte on the lake. Your E. coli bacteria, total sediments, and then also your field parameters, your pH, node oxygen, chemistry, that sort of thing.
So they're not looking at the type of material that's being sucked up, dredged out, and, it could be floating downstream.
Sure, we aren't sampling the dredged material directly, but, we're not sampling the sediments directly. We can adjust it, we'll see how it goes with, maybe do a test case with some of those metals and see if we get anything on those.
There are a lot of metals that we have in this area, just from mining. And I was wondering if it also, when you start to disturb the bottom, it's gonna start moving some of that
Sure.
material out.
So especially when we get some active dredging here, that'll be a good time to pump up the list of animals. That'd be one I need.
Thank-
Any historic metals testing in the areas where you're testing them?
Just at the water quality monitoring site. So that would be, dark radius would be like St. Patrick's. Thinking really as far as changes and salt goes, I couldn't find anything from it.
So you should be able to see some, we have a few tests, we have something up right there at the end.
Yeah.
And now you have
So
another
now we
place.
have,
The
now we're the site,
DNR
right,
should be
right
able to
below
help
Park
us.
Drive.
So you'll coordinate with them.
Yeah, so we're trying to line up with, the HC, and then it gets coordinated with the DNR and try to piggyback on that. So we're gonna have a nice data set where we try to have all the samples collected on the same day. And it'll be easier to analyze the whole data feed system.
You know how the dredging material's gonna be handled, like actually suck out of that?
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Erin.
I've been working with Tim Rogers, and he's kind of the director who's been coordinating everything and working with the game fish and parks to get that project going. And right now, that the dredger, it sucks up the material and it goes into big bags on the land, and it sucks up some liquid too, so it's real porous, and it kind of cleans the water, and the idea is that water will run back into the creek. And then you're left with this sediment. And once that dries out, you cut open those big bags, and then we haul it off. And Tim's been getting quotes from different people on how much it costs to get that sediment removed. In the last Canyon Lake dredging project, it was real rich, good, like reclamation type soil, so they ended up using it to reclaim some other properties and stuff, so. There probably would be a soil sample taken once that dries out, make sure that everything's okay before they haul it to whatever site you're taking it to, so.
Do they know where they're gonna take it? You know,
They're still up in the air, right now they just have, he's getting some different quotes about how much it would cost. The Black Hills Materials said that they'll definitely take it, we'd have to get it to them, so.
So we're just looking at how long more than a place to take it.
Yes, exactly.
Because the landfill will take it as well as top cover, correct? If it's clean soil.
The first time we did this, my project, we hauled it to the landfill.
Yeah, and the reason that we're looking at Black Hills Materials is because it's a lot closer, so it'd be a shorter haul, so it's reducing the hauling cost as opposed to taking it to the landfill.
I wasn't in on the original part of this. About how many tons of material are you talking about, do you know?
Was it revenue?
Yeah, it was in cubic yards. It was
Thousands,
thousands,
tens of
thousands
thousands.
cubic yards. Yeah, it's a lot.
More than one truckload?
Oh yeah, lots.
Well, I don't know, they have to run some double duck, or side dump trucks past my house.
You remember how much we hauled around there?
No, I know, but it was several thousand, because we hauled there, we had some tough stuff.
It wasn't a dry material, it was wet material. We used the front end orders.
This one, they're hoping that, they put it in those bags, let all the water run out, and then they dry it out and haul it so it's lighter, is the idea, so,
Should be a lot less than that.
yeah.
Where's that operation set up?
I think they're looking at a couple different spots, but I think it's most likely gonna be in that parking lot, right off the creek, especially when you, right where the creek dumps into Canyon Lake, there's that parking lot right there. The idea, I think, is to put it there. Yeah, or below the chop house, another possible spot.
They thought about advertising free land, free
Right
fields,
there.
or people who want
They
it.
did talk
come
about that
get it.
too, yeah.
Might be some value.
Yeah, it,
Emily, right there.
yeah, that's one
Yeah,
responsible
it should
one,
have
and
some
then,
value to it.
Quick question, the NWIS site that you've got in your report,
Yes.
this will be uploaded every time you have sample results.
That's right.
You're doing quarterly reports to us, but, in the final report at the end of the project, could that link be added to our website for people to drag information off of?
And another update, something we didn't talk about last time is, I'll put everything on a website on our homepage, so it'll have the live links to all of the data and maybe try to figure out how to populate charts or plots or something like that. So I'll have all the information packaged on one website, then you can link that to your site.
However it works out,
Yeah.
some technical ways will figure that out.
Sure.
Make it easy for the rest of us. Okay, any other questions for Galen? This will be the second vote. We've got quarterly payments, routine expenditures, one signature. Is there a differentiation there that we need to deal with? On the items A and B?
The quarterly payments is just a note that that's when they'll bill us. The routine expenditure is so that we'll put it on if it's approved, it'll be put on, routine expenditure, so then it'll just be one check whenever it comes in. We don't have to.
Thank you for that. So it's 20,000 a year for 2 years. Chart. USGS is contributing 20,000 of the total, so total of 60,000. So we're voting on tonight, 2-year commitment, $40,000 is the second vote, passed last time.
I move approval.
Andrew, move. Motion, Bob Williams, second. Any further discussion on that motion?
Just a question, quarterly, 2 years or quarterly? We're paying each quarter,
Every 3 months.
quarter of the project.
Every 3 months we give them $5,000 until 8 payments are made, is what I understood.
Yeah, so this, I'm not exactly sure exactly on the billing cycle, but this will roughly go through the end of our fiscal year 2018, which is the end of September 2018. So every 3 months we'll have a bill, however many cycles that amounts to.
The fiscal year gonna run out before a quarter's run out, is what you're thinking.
Well, I didn't know if we were in a quarter of the project. For timeline.
Bring that again.
You'll write that up too, so the contracts, right?
I wanted to make sure we understood your comment. Ken?
We might have to.
Just curious, Leon, if the check is more than 2,500, you still don't need 2 signatures on it? It's a routine
Not if we
expense?
put it in the routine expenditures.
Okay.
That's why that's there. So if you vote on a project like this, you can say, consider it a routine expenditure, and then whenever the bill comes in, we can write the check. We don't have to wait till the next meeting or anything.
Okay.
And this will probably be written in 2 contracts or a 2-stage contract. So it'll be every 3 months, a quarter for each contract.
To clarify the motion, items A and B are within your motion.
Yes.
Is that-
Yes.
And the second, Bob, understood? Yeah. Okay. Make sure we, any other discussion? All right, those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Your sample's no longer at risk.
Thanks for your faith.
Stream flow gauging, Howard Acres. Doesn't look like Joyce.
No, I'm not Joyce. Joyce is actually our acting director, and she is in Salt Lake City right now. My name is David Bender, I'm with the U.S. Geological Survey. I'm the acting data chief for the Dakota Water Science Center currently. And I had a little presentation.
And I
Kinda
will.
since you have new board members, and maybe some of you haven't heard this in a while, but we'll kind of walk up through a little bit of background and history for the 2 gauges that the West Dakota Water Development District provides funding support for. You can go to the next slide. This is just kind of a graphic showing the stream gauging network across the state of South Dakota. And the red triangles are the flood warning gauges, and mostly located within the Black Hills region, mostly around the city of Rapid, Bill City, and Custer, just because of the flashiness of when there's a large thunderstorm, the water comes up pretty quick. And so it's just a good warning gauge that is funded partly by Prince County, partly by the city of Rapid, Custer County, I think, provides some funding, and emergency management provides a little bit of funding for the city, in the city of Rapid City. And like I said, that's for flood warning, and across the state, most of it is funded by local, state, or federal dollars. It helps fund the gauges, to help support the operation of the gauges. And the heavy intensity around the Black Hills is kind of why there's so many gauges right around that Black Hills area. Next slide, please. This is just a graphic from hydrologic atlas of the Black Hills. The hydrology study that West Dakota helped fund back in the late 1990s, and it was published in 2002. And it kind of shows the outcrops of the two Madison aquifers, or the Madison and Minnalousas aquifers, and you'll see it kind of a ring around the Black Hills. And it also shows the gauges around the Black Hills that help monitor not only stream flow, but there's also some groundwater network around the hills too that we monitor, mostly in Madison and Minnalousas aquifers. Next slide. This is a close-up of the Pennington County and western Pennington County over the state line. And the two circles are, well, the one's just a little bit to the right of the Rhodes Fork gauge, which West Dakota helps fund. And then the other circle is the Castle Creek above Deerfield gauge that the West Dakota helps fund. Both gauges reflect stream flow out of the Madison and Minnalousas aquifers, just downstream of their outcrop, or kind of their outcrop of where the upper end. So it's mostly stream flow. There are two stream flow or spring flow dominated gauges, and it really is kind of an input to the system at that point. In the Madison, Madison is recharged mostly by two sources: precipitation across mostly the limestone plateau on the western fringe, and also recapture of stream flow as it comes across the lower of the eastern boundary there of the outcrops of the Madison and Minnalousas aquifers. We can go to the next slide. This is just a very simplified schematic of the aquifers of the Black Hills, and explains a little bit, it helps kind of depict some of the information where the rainflow or precipitation will fall upon a limestone plateau at that upper end, and then infiltrate into the aquifer, come out at spring flow. They're just at that outcrop where it really starts sloping down. If you've been up on the limestone plateau, it's a pretty steep gradient coming down onto that the Precambrian igneous area of the Black Hills, kind of that uplift in the central part of the Black Hills. And then as it kind of flows down through the stream flow across the outcrops of the Madison and Minnalousas, a lot of the stream flow is lost to back into the aquifer. And that really is just that recapture of the stream. And that the Rhodes Fork and Castle Creek are kind of in that upper end where it's really stream flow dominated, and it's above where it's lost to the lost things again. And those streams increase flow as they cross that Precambrian area, as more water is coming in through precipitation and infiltration back into the stream system. And then as they go back downstream across the outcrops of Madison and Minnalousas aquifers, most of the streams in the Black Hills lose all the flow back into them, except for Rapid Creek, which has a sustained flow, mostly because of Dakota, where the flow is high enough that it will continue flowing past the outcrop areas. Still loses quite a bit of flow across there, but it has enough to maintain the flow through the city. And Whitewood Creek, which there's been some discussion about that, about the mine tailings actually kind of seal that off, that outcrop area off. And that's just kind of speculation at this point. But that's one of the things. The Madison and Minnalousas aquifers both have very good water quality as near the hills, and as you get further out from the hills, the water quality kind of degrades. As you get further east, further south, it really degrades off. Next slide, please. And this is just kind of a depiction of why we kind of want to keep stream flow records and keep them ongoing. And this is just an analysis for the James River, it's not across the river, but this is the James River, and you can see the trend, from the 1920s. It kind of's got a little bit of stable flow over till about the early 1980s, and then all of a sudden the flow has really picked up. And we see that trend a lot in the East River. That may be somewhat different than out here, but it's one reason we want to look is if you just had the last few years, you'd assume the flow was way up and continued that way, but it just is a nice way to visualize the actual flows over a long period of time. And what are the primary drivers? Precip, temperature, of why we see this trend. Where in eastern South Dakota, we've had a lot more precip, and temperatures are a little warmer, so we're gonna get a little more precip. Where areas west of us, like in Montana, are just the opposite. Their precip has gone down, their temperatures are more moderate, so you're trying to figure out which way this area is going, because you're kind of right in this transition zone between those two. And why is this important to this group? If the Madison gets so much of its recharge from precipitation, if we have a change in precipitation pattern, it may affect the groundwater levels and the subsequent spring flow with the supporting streams. We can go to the next slide. And now we get into the kind of the interesting part. This is a graphic showing the annual mean discharge for Rhodes Fork near Rochford. And the upper graph shows the patterns of kind of the wet and dry years over time. Note that this is only about a 20-year, 40 years of record for this gauge. This gauge has been in operation. And you see kind of that late 80s, early 90s, where it was very dry around here. You see the stream flow, the annual mean flow for Rhodes Fork kind of starts creeping down. We had a wet time during the 90s where the stream flow picked up and then dropped off dramatically in the early 2000s. And now we're kind of back up on that, where we've been a little wetter with, I think it's 2011 or 12 where we were so wet. So you see that little spike up there around that right on the bar, that last vertical bar. And then also we can look at peak stream flow, and you can see it kind of follows, which is the lower right hand graph, and it follows kind of that stream flow until about that 2000 time frame, and then it becomes more of a shotgun pattern. And that is mostly due to the increased likelihood, the increased frequency of large storm events that have happened in the area. So that's one of the reasons we like to look at long-term records at this site. And we can go to the next slide. And these are graphs that just kind of show where we were in 2016 and where we're at so far in 2017. With the middle, that green shade in the very middle is that interquartile range of the long-term data set for Rhodes Fork, where we have, that's the 25th to 75th percentile of the flow. So everything within that would be the 25th to 75th percentile of the flows. And then you've got the black line there, which is what happened in 2016, and then on into 2017 is the bottom right. That, you know, in 2016 we were up in that upper part of the flows where we were pretty wet. And now you can start seeing in 2017 where we started to fall off and coming back into more of a normal flow. And that's where we're at this point, is Rhodes Fork. And we can go to the next slide. And these are the figures showing both Castle Creek above Deerfield. And you can see again, in that upper right is just the annual mean discharge.
And you can see kind of just goes along nicely, nice spring flow, consistent. And then in that early nineties, we hit a wet period. And you really see that dramatic increase in the annual means, and then falls off again in the 2000s. And now we're kind of heading back up a little bit, but we're not sure. But if you look down at the annual peak for Castle Creek, we have two very wet years back in, I think it was 54 and 65. Very wet years, very intense thunderstorms affected is why those peaks are so high. But you can see we've got a few more, a little more scattered in the 2000s, and that kind of follow along similarly with Rhodes Fork. And I guess we can go to the next graph. And again, you can see where we're at. The upper left is the 2016 compared to the long-term average, and then the bottom right is where we're at in 2017, with the black line showing the current, the 2016 and then the 2017 data. And you can see we're still up in that upper portion of the statistics for the long-term flow, even in the 2017. But you can see some very large peaks during that summer months through this site, where we have some, maybe have some larger storm events associated with those. And we can go to the next slide. This is kind of the role of the annual precipitation that we've seen and been able to put together. And the upper graph is just the annual precipitation from NOAA's sites at Hill City and Pactola. And both follow the similar trends and patterns that we've seen for the stream flow. So stream flow does follow those fairly well. And typical scatter is what we've seen in this area. And kind of ranges from 13 to 32 inches of annual precipitation at these two sites, which that's a pretty wide range for this area. And although we see the typical 7 to 10 year drier periods, there may be a spike from a pretty big event that can affect these flows or the precipitation. And in the bottom right, we actually have this plotted, the annual precipitation at the Hill City gauge plotted against the discharge for Castle Creek, which is the nearest stream flow site. And then kind of that green line across the top is the precip 4-year running average. So you can see the flow, the discharge, and the 4-year running average for precipitation kind of match up fairly well. But you can notice there are some larger peaks, or larger storm events that have caused wetter years that really have kind of affected the flows across Castle Creek. And next slide, please. And this is our proposed funding. We've got a draft funding agreement that you guys are looking at right now. And saying even with our last year's funding, from West Dakota, $14,785 is our request. USGS is matching $11,725 for total for the stream gauging network for the two sites, of $26,510. And that funds Rhodes Fork at 100% with this funding and our USGS matches. And then Castle Creek is funded at 75% of the fund. And this fiscal year 17, we were able to pick up the $3,700 of unmatched funds through some, because we had a couple of retirements, we were able to absorb that into our budget. And with the current administration's budgets coming down on us, we may not be able to do that in the future. So if there's an option to increase the match to fully fund Castle Creek, that would be much appreciated. But that's where we're at. I guess any questions? Yes.
Can you explain the reason, the importance of monitoring year round?
Well, this, like these show, this is Rhodes Fork, this is just the minimum daily values for the period of record for the site. And it shows, we've got pretty consistent minimum daily flows, but it's really to monitor what's coming in and what's going out of the system. We know that we should have consistent spring flow, and it's kind of a trigger if we're going into a drier period where we can start seeing that flow start to decrease during certain times. And I would have liked to plotted where those wet years versus the dry years, and showing you the difference in the spring flows, where right now we're probably up there closer to 4 to 5 in the current flows at Rhodes Fork, and probably in that 5 to 6 or 3 to 4 at Castle Creek. In this dry, where we really haven't had a lot of precip over the winter, so the flows are dropping down, and it's just kind of an idea, gives everybody a better feel for what's coming into the system, the stream system, and what potentially losses would be associated with as it's coming across the loss zone, and where the reduced recharge in the area, or recapture in the area for the water resources.
Yeah.
I noticed in your charts, we've had some dry years. In fact, we've had a
Yeah.
drop for the last 5 years.
Yes.
But it didn't reflect any flow shortage in your charts.
And that's the Madison actually is a very big bucket. And the flows are actually, the spring flow is still feeding fairly well, but the bucket may be depleted. We just don't have that data up in that area to fully understand. And
Yeah, I
that's
was kind of wondering, because we've got a lot of streams that are just dry as dust right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
In fact, they didn't get filled till this last,
it's last little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the bucket, the holes here, we're still up here. And we get down, and there's parts of the hills that bucket is down where it's not dumping out in. So that's one reason to help monitor. All right? Yes,
There's a significant lag time between surface water and groundwater, right? And
Yes.
like you're saying, the aquifer recharges over a longer period of time and doesn't drain out quickly.
right, right.
So you
That's
continue to
kind
get continuous flows even though there's no precipitation on the surface.
Right, you can have continuous flows without that precipitation, but that aquifer's been a big storage bucket. And it's slowly coming down in dry years, gets filled up and wet. And it's always where the water's coming out. And the water table is below springs, they're not gonna flow.
But then at the lower elevations in the dry years, you're gonna get water that's gonna be dropping back into
Right,
the aquifer, and that's what you'll see dry stream beds
yeah.
down at these
Oh,
elevations.
Box Elder Creek coming down, through Custer Gap area, I mean, it just loses everything. I've seen it flow twice past there in all my years, so it loses a lot of water. And if we don't have that water coming in at the upper end, we'll never make it down to that area anyway, so, because of the precip evaporation and then through the summer. So.
The creek loses water, but it's going back into the aquifer,
Right,
correct?
right. At that point, it does, but then it's a reduced recapture of that.
Thank you.
So,
James, I saw you in,
I was just gonna interject, I'm sorry, James. As to what he's saying, most of what you were asking about was the major aquifers. I've also done a little study down in downtown Rapid City with some of the monitoring wells they put in for some of the contamination sites. And you could tell when like the dam is not putting out much water, it was drying up the stream, and you could actually see the losing. It was going into the alluvium versus coming back out into the stream. So you're losing streams and gaining streams even just from the Patton Dam stuff. So it just depends on where you are.
That's fine. Follow up,
So-
Ken.
So with this funding, are you guys purchasing new equipment? Is this just the monitoring or the analysis?
It is the operational gauge that's for one of our people to go out and collect streamflow measurements, for checking, we do long-term monitoring, where we have a rating group, develop, gauge height versus the flow. So we collect what gauge height all the time, and then we use that rating curve to predict the flow, more or less. But then we also go out there and confirm that with actual measurements. So it's actually the monitoring, somebody go out there to take care of the site, do maintenance on it, clean up, whatever, and then actually work that record to keep that rating curve up to date and better understand what's going on with it during the periods of time where we're not out there.
Robert?
Yes.
Do you know how many years, I mean, it's been a long time we've been supporting these two gauges, right?
Yes.
Like, since it was started almost, hasn't
Yeah,
it been?
is this road Fork? Can you scroll down? Yeah, the bottom, Roads Fork, go to the top of this one. Castle Creek has been 69 years, and Roads Fork has been about 34 years of record with these two sites.
And
So,
then, we've been
it's a
supporting
short-
them for quite a while.
yeah, you guys have been funding these for quite a while.
Quite a while,
You know, and the USGS appreciates that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a long-term project. I mean,
Right.
it's been, you know, they provide a lot of information that is used not only by West Dakota, but by the region itself.
Yeah.
These gauges that I used to work for the city, utility manager, these gauges are really, really valuable, planning tool for the city. How we release the water from the reservoirs, out there for the irrigation district, there's a lot of people that depend on the information data that we get, that you guys provide through these stations. So it's something that I totally support and think we need to keep doing.
Thank you.
You're the only people that, you're the only one that gauge this, or are there other entities that do it as well?
In Black Hills, the state I know does a few, but these are sites that we operate, we manage. There are some that scattered around the hills that are usually for short-term projects. The state does some TMDL work, total matching daily load work, where they need stream flow. But a lot of times they'll come to us even to go, to do that management. It's kind of our bread and butter.
The dollar amount we're talking about is $14,785.
Yes.
So it was discussed, Joyce presented last fall, and that's where the Castle Creek went down to 75%. We reduced, it was a reduced amount from a previous obligation, so that's the dollar amount we're talking about tonight. For a motion for approval.
What is this, 11,000?
That's their matching.
That's our
Yes.
matching.
Okay.
He said they made up the unmatched of $3,000 out of some finance and shifted some funding around to get full funding. So we're
Right.
both 100% funded,
Yes.
so. That's where we're at. So is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion that we continue the funding for the gauges.
Second.
Motion second, expenditure, any discussion on the motion? James?
When does that funding go into place? Is that after September 2017?
Yes.
October 1,
October
Yeah.
1, yeah.
2017 to September 30, 2018 is what turned on the court packet. Any other questions, comments, discussion?
This is the contract right here.
Good, sorry, fine.
Yeah, the terms are October 1 through September 30.
Same as Uncle Sam's around it. So question, those in favor of the motion?
Wait.
Aye.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Oh, no problem. Discussion. Wasn't looking that direction.
My name is George Farabee, and I'd say quite a bit about the presentation that I wrote tonight. I'm a firm believer in science, and this is not science, but when I asked you to hold off till October or till next meeting, I think, and I'll have to verify, I think that Butte County Commission have been hit up for the same project, same gauges. So let me find out if we've been hit up for funding. I think we have.
Oh,
So hold off till next meeting, will you?
Mr. Fairley, when you were being hit up by the same gauges twice?
Hagen County Emergency Management
Yeah,
has come to us, Joyce Williams.
for the same?
Yes,
The same thing.
for Rhodes Fork and Castle Creek. That's not what it is.
But not for, but these are the, I just asked if these were the only gauges that they had, if anyone, any other entity was doing it.
We can ask this gentleman, I think Rhodes Fork has one gauge, and I think Castle Creek has one gauge.
So is there another entity then? That's doing the same thing you're doing?
No,
Are we paying for the same thing for?
We are being hit, we're being hit, Hagen County Commission, as I recall, we were hit up for cost sharing.
When you say hit up, you mean you were asked to
To
fund it?
fund the project.
There's more than, you talking about these gauges or?
I'm
'cause
talking
he-
about
he
Rhodes Fork
said-
and Castle Creek.
Okay, because he said that, you know, that the emergency management is funding some of it, but not necessarily this gauge.
USGS, Joyce Williamson, as I recall, came to us and asked for money.
For what?
So which gauge?
For gauging.
For
Maybe
what?
the shortage, the 3,000 are short, we cut them.
There's a lot of gauges that the city of Rapid City funds gauges too.
I did, how many gauges does Rhodes
Mike.
Fork have?
I'd like to ask the USGS to answer that.
Answer that.
That's the,
Anyway, I would hold off.
for Rhodes Fork and Castle Creek, it is USGS funding and West Dakota Water Development District funding. There is the 3,000 some odd dollars of unfunded match that may have been requested for assistance from Pennington County to help fund the Castle Creek gauge. But other than that, there's, across the state, there's almost 200 gauges that the USGS helps support through partial funding, where some are funded wholly by single entity, whether it be a local, state, or federal agency. And with these two gauges, it is right now just West Dakota and USGS is providing funding.
Galen, you had more
You got a
clarification?
comment?
So I think what George is referring to is Pennington County Emergency Management does fund, you saw there's several other gauges. There's a program called MET-WARN, where we just operate precipitation and stage gauges through lots of different sites, obviously. So I think that is a separate program that Pennington County does, but for these gauges, as Dave said, it's just,
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Yep.
That those aren't the same gauge.
Right.
So we could vote, all of a sudden now we have a little discrepancy.
no, there's no,
Are we gonna be, okay, so Bennington County has separate gauges.
separate
Yeah,
gauges.
yeah,
So,
they help
when the-
support funding
so
for
no
separate
matter-
gauges.
So Bennington County is not gonna pay for the same
Right.
gauges that you're asking for.
Right.
That's out of the question.
Yeah, when we have these,
And are they measuring the same thing at the same place, or are they measuring things at different places?
different places. We have MET-WARN gauges. We can go back to that presentation. We can pull up the rest of Pennington County. Yeah, that, if you go right there. This is, we have, the red triangles are MET-WARN gauges that emergency management, City of Rapid City, Pennington County actually help fund. With Rhodes Fork and Deerfield, those are, the stream gauges are what is funded by West Dakota and USGS. There are precipitation gauges there that emergency management may help fund, not the flow gauge, not the stream gauge. So,
So there are gauges and there are gauges.
there are stream flow gauges and precipitation gauges that maybe,
And they're different gauges doing different
right,
things.
they're collecting different data.
Yeah.
Leon?
Yes,
This takes 2 votes, so you're only voting the first time.
right.
I'll get rid of that point later too. James?
Are the precipitation gauges and the flow gauges located within the same amount?
At those two sites, yes.
So if they're being hit up for the funding for the precipitation gauges, obviously you're not sending 2 people out to measure both gauges.
No.
So
We're getting double dipped. Pennington County is, thank you.
where would the extra cost be?
It's factored in. I mean, it is factored in that you guys are splitting costs for somebody to go out there. You're not covering one person to go out there one day and then him to cover somebody, or Pennington County to cover somebody the next day. It's one person is running out there, they're doing it, you're getting half the bill every time on the mile. So,
I understood when Joyce presented last fall, that there's a time in accounting to different sources, I believe, time
Right.
card, mileage, et cetera, accounted to. So I suppose that's auditable if ever needed to
Yeah.
see those records. This agreement has to be signed if we so vote to pass it before October 1st. That's the terms in the letter. So that's our timetable from here out. And it does require 2 yes votes to approve it, to make it happen, so. It's criteria. Bob?
Mr. Chairman, can we put somewhere in the record that we need to have it clarified with Pennington County on what it is that, you know, the type of gauge, the kind of material that they're paying for before that second vote, or is that,
Since our next meeting is July, Ken?
Well, I mean, USGS is here and they're the ones that bill us. What's Pennington County gonna tell us that we don't already know? Guess I don't understand.
There's time to research that between now and July, I'm sure.
Right,
For our
that
next
could be
vote,
done.
to have it clarified, I'm betting.
We can sure
I'd like to make a motion to table this till the next meeting.
no,
That's enough time.
Mr. Chairman, or I guess I have to,
You have to vote on the table.
or if we don't have a second.
You, the motion to table, you need to vote on that.
Those in favor of tabling this until the next July meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Public roll call.
All right, this is a vote to table. Moss,
Aye.
Bierke,
No,
Mueller,
Aye.
Akers,
No.
Williams,
yes.
Steichen,
No.
Bialotta,
Yes.
Durlow.
No.
Motion fails 4-4.
4-4 motion fails. Back to the original motion. First vote to approve. Any other discussion on that motion?
Just to clarify, we need 2 votes.
2 votes
So we vote
affirmative to
tonight,
pass.
but it still needs another vote before it's actually,
Correct.
okay. Then
Correct.
I feel safe to do that way.
So it buys time to get to the next meeting in case there's anything out there
Then
you
we
can,
Then we can do our
to
research.
clarify.
Okay.
Okay, those in favor of the funding of 14,785 to USGS?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye. Those opposed? No. We need a roll call again.
Moss,
No.
Bierke,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Akers,
Aye.
Williams,
Yes.
Steichen,
Aye.
Bialotta, Durlow.
Aye.
Motion passes. 6-2. Moss.
Item 12, hydrology conference keynote. Joanne, Ken, who's got this?
I am Joanne Noyes with South Dakota Geological Survey. I am on the committee for the Western Hydrology Committee. And I'd like your guys' opinion, because I did see several of you there at the conference. I'd like to know how you guys felt about the conference. Did you get anything out of it? Do you think it was worthwhile?
Absolutely, it was great.
Okay.
It was good. We'd go
Okay.
back again, I guess, if it wasn't worth going.
I guess the guy wanted
Yeah.
to hear something from
Keep going,
us. The
I
guy that's
guess.
not here. What's, I can't pronounce his name.
Nathan Jordan.
Jordan, there we go. Okay, well, I sure appreciate you guys being there, and we do appreciate the, funding that we give for the John Hawks, after, or luncheon speaker. This year it was Mindy Pepler from USGS in Reston, Virginia, so, I believe this is a pretty good talk, pretty good luncheon. And we are continuing to request the $2,000 for the 2018 Western Hydrology Conference. So I sure appreciate, or the committee would sure appreciate your assistance with that. And if you need any more information, I'm thinking Janet sends you the letter at the end with the list of attendees and stuff. Are you on that mailing list?
With a list of people that attended, and yeah, she does.
So you got,
And I forwarded that to the director, so I
Okay.
got it too.
so everybody's got the information about how it was 250 people and the original, invitation that was in the paper or public notice actually had you guys in there as sponsoring the John Mokes luncheon speaker, so you were definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. No, thank you again.
How much was that again?
2,000.
Okay, hold on, I didn't hear.
Dan.
I thought Ken did a great job at the luncheon of providing the information to the attendees on what our purpose was, what our mission was, really. I thought it was just a great job.
Thanks,
Other
Dan.
people might be able to say the same thing, so thank you for doing it.
Thanks, my pleasure. I'm grateful for that opportunity. I believe that's the first time I've been that they've given us that opportunity as a water district to do that, and it's good for the public to know what we're doing, and that was a great forum to do that.
I'm glad you could do it. And I'm also glad that you stepped up for one of the field trips. And I heard that, it was a well-attended field trip too, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a couple dozen people there. Nathan was there too, right?
I wish I could have gone too, because I would have liked to have seen it, but I was on my own field trip.
Half the board went.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did the one in the city. I like that.
Well, the one to the Brome Gill Touch Superfund site, was also free, and they restricted the amount of vehicles, so we actually had to pay for the transportation out of our budget this year, which only amounted to about $150, but still it's a little bit of money out of our pocket, so. But everybody really enjoyed that one as well. And if anybody's got any other field trip ideas for next year, we'd sure appreciate it. If you wanna see something, we'll try and get it organized.
We do have to make one.
Well, there you go, that's an idea.
We're supposed to do that next fall, so. Might be,
Or even the results of it.
yeah, there's also some, presentations, something like that would be. Informative. You looking for a motion?
Jay?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your budget item, but let the ball rolling here. We had a motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Gerlo. And
to the Rapid Creek down by where our native population has basically trashed the whole side of the creek. And I'd just like to thank Nathan for helping me pick up garbage off of the bank. And there are 40 environmentalists there. So, and I think we were the only ones. Somebody else volunteered to take the trash away once we collected it. You know, in the short 50 meters that we walked, we got 2 huge bags, just garbage.
So is that like
Throw
straight
that in.
down by
Leadership.
Lee's
There
Avenue?
you go.
It's kind of right, this east of the mill down there.
Yeah, right by the water mill.
I know some middle school, one of the teachers, I think it was from the South Middle School, used to do a project right in that area about sampling the soil and the water and all that stuff. So I wonder,
Well, it's a dangerous place to wander through, and if you have any cuts and you get in Rapid Creek, then you have problems there too. But, no, it was just I wanted to make sure he got some credit for suggesting, hey, let's pick this stuff up.
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
good enough. Ken?
The irony is though that if he hadn't found a big bag, he wouldn't have anything to put in.
So there's a fully functional dump site.
That's great.
Motion on the floor for 2,000, any other discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yes, sir. You're absolutely right, we're gonna take a little break while Mr. Wright sets up for presentation.
You're double dipping.
Important to do them year round.
3 years ago, Hill City got down. Hill City got closed down. I mean, miles from there. Excuse me.
Are these free for the taking?
Yep.
This spotty.
Excellent.
Pretty exciting publication.
I know lots of people who would love to have one of these.
Yeah, we have quite a few, don't we?
Colorful.
I think we have quite a few in stock still. Is that where they
I think there's like 10 or something.
goes all?
I might take 2. I'm with clean water on it, so I'm thinking I'd like to have one.
Yeah, especially if you have it as a resource material.
Exactly.
Be able to-
Great for papering your wall too.
I go to school of mines and those maps there.
Obviously, I'm very much anti-deficit spending. And you're part of the USGS. You know, I don't know. If I get one more vote, our funding. What does it do for us? What does that do for us? So it's a bunch of data.
Mr. Parliamentarian, there you are.
Like I said, it's so spotty. Last year, most adventures. Switching from pay at all.
All the counters and half counters, big.
And roads fork might have went. Castle Creek Beach. And it's so city, and they're not very far away.
Well, generally, people
It's misleading.
Since we took my,
Like I say, it's so spotty.
email.
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm sending it to
It's got like
Lance Law.
Yes,
Yeah,
I used to get anything today. Sometimes it comes in on the same day.
Which one do you want?
Now I'm
Or not WD2?
Focused on trying to say something about it.
let's go with these.
Next time we have one of these things, like.
My outlet started working again.
Walk up and down.
But could you send it to
You have it with you?
Because yesterday I picked up that much between my house and the mailbox.
no one?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
I have a grabber now.
WD
Because that picked
One.
up stuff I shouldn't have.
KSL Moss Pack.
No, I mean, send get your time with it. Not much.
My wife's to do the same way. She'll receive what I do.
Unless they all have their vaccinated.
Thank you very much.
But Jeff picked up my clothes. Underwear. No. Who bought these?
Oh yeah, I made it. Totally got bottom.
Didn't have two, but one is No, international regulatory expert. Cosmetics. She also knows if you pick up your, you look on the back, specific medicines. It's like and then I saw that stuff that really it's not on the computer. This helps not just your ass. By the way, you walk into lunch. How are you? Hopefully it's a comparable answer.
Yeah.
We're just on a similar thing. What, I'm looking at the text? Yeah. They're paying. I got you. The real watermelon.
Picking that up.
Fortunately, I found the biggest crack. There we go. There we go.
Full of recyclables, right?
Clear.
Oh, that did. We used to collect trash, it was
Unorganized road tax.
Meth.
Are the records checks, Leon?
Are the director's checks routine now? So one signature?
Oh, yeah. They're not over $2,500.
Well, for a while we did too.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Robert signed them all.
Dim the lights, or what's the deal? One or everyone?
Thanks.
Here we go. We're gonna get around it. I don't need to touch that paper. Grab your cookie and get a seat. Are you gonna show it? I gave them all a copy of it.
Okay.
If there's something on it they wanna discuss, you can pop it up.
I'll just put a pretty picture up
I
here.
can do that. Nice picture. Watch him scurry. Show someone crawling across the desert dying of thirst. Gather back up and finish up here. Did you already join us, Jeanette? Thanks. All right, you're right, item 13, conservation water to use of compost, project funding request.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Thank you.
Betty?
I want to say a couple things first before I get into the details. A year ago, when I was before you, I was looking for funding, and I was also looking for a student to do the research, I was looking for a faculty to support it, I was looking for a university or college to support it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I finally found one, and that's me. And so you know that I'm the student that's going to do the research for most of it. But I'm at no expense, and the money that I'm making is due to go to school is the GI Bill and through my own pocketbook. So there's nothing in this to me for me at all. The funding is for you is to do research. And it's a subject that we talked about last year. And the reason I didn't come back to you, I brought the subject and the question was ordered from Joe, who's contracting. I certainly did not have the answer for that. There's no point to it. Now I do. And you've all received a copy of this research proposal. This has gone to the School of Mines. It's been sent to the USDA and RCS, National Resource Conservation Cycle. The City of Rapid City is funding us with $25,000 cash, plus about $15,000 they're about in buying materials and supplies. The project is to study how much water can we save in an irrigation district by amending the soils through compost. If you don't know what compost is, it's organic waste that's been decomposed to a point where the carbon nitrogen ratio is low enough it'll go to the soil without helping the plants. It helps the soil structure. And one of the classes I took last year was environmental soil physics at SDSU under Dr. Cindy Kuhlman.
There's a little noise going on. Can you just speak up?
I will speak up, thank you, Janet. Okay. Anyway, what I'm looking at is if we can conserve water in the irrigation district or in the irrigation process through the use of a soil amendment called compost, it's a win-win because we're saving the water, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, is absolutely critical, and you know that. The quality and quantity of water is essential and important to us in years to come, no question about it. Also, within communities and within a nation, we produce a tremendous amount of solid waste. So this is a combination of taking a waste product, which the City of Rapid City does, and makes it high quality compost. And one reason that I want to do the research is it's not as well utilized as I would like it to be used. It's used very well by gardeners, it's very well by flower people, people in yards and so forth. But we need to reach out to places that use lots of water.
in particular irrigation districts, city and the irrigation of their parks and so forth, and in our lawns. If you look at the very first page of your document, it's like 37% of the water that's produced and pulled out from fresh water is used for irrigation around the world. It's as high as 70 to 80% around the world, 70 to 80% in western parts of the U.S. Rapid City is not unusual. It's very much like it. To give you an example, the average daily pumping rate in winter is 7 million gallons a day. This is 2016. The average daily pumping in the summer, April through October, is 13 million, twice as much. The water is going to irrigation. How can we conserve it? How can we save that? We use water in Rapid Valley and Delphouche and on the Cheyenne River, all kinds of stuff. This research, if we can show is it beneficial and appropriate savings in the water, what that water worth, is it going to be worth our investment to transport or apply it or to make it available to our community? One idea is that if we can show that the value of the water is significant, we can maybe convince the community, such as Rapid City, to help the agricultural industry utilize the product. Now, the ag industry is in tough shape right now, has been in tough shape. If you look at the cost of an acre of land, $300 to $1,000, I'm assuming in this area, it's not a great deal amount of money, but it's a lot of money. The ranchers and farmers are raising cattle or wheat farming, they don't have a lot of money or revenue or income to offset and improve their land. I would like to use this savings in water as a way of convincing us as a city or the community to help in that process. If we can conserve the amount of water that's used, that 7 million gallons that's irrigated out, pumped up irrigation in Rapid City, worth a lot of money to our city. During this research, we will convey that, we'll get a value on it, we'll portray it to the community through a report. Also want to let you know that the city has been testing the compost since 1994. Compost with the biosolids since 2004 with no problems. So we have well-documented case that this compost is extremely safe and used. The site that we're going to use for our initial testing is out at the water reclamation facility. I can send this map around. It's marked with a circle and an arrow, very close to the plant. And one reason we have that there, it's in the Rapid Valley Irrigation Soil District. And we've got soil tests done on it. We've been doing perm tests, that's the infiltration test, which I'm going to demonstrate in just a minute. And also the water reclamation facility is a key player in the product production of compost. The biosolids, or the solids with water, that are produced by that plant, they used to be land applied, which creates problems because they build up the nitrate in it, in the soil and groundwater. And so we have resolved that by taking that waste, and it's now compost. It has been since 2004. We're producing a world-class product. The compost, when you take the soil, this soil is right from that very site that you see circled. I'm not handing coffee grounds there. It's hard to visually see it. This very first container is just soil from the very same site. And the next one that's marked is about 10% weight of compost. It's hardly visible. You're going to see an amazing difference when it happens. What I'm asking for is again, the same amount we did last year, $25,000. The money will be used to help in the data analysis. Graduate student, not me, another student to continue the research later on. And faculty support of the School of Mines and other operations to get this research done. Document will be produced, made available to the entire community, and hopefully we get some real meaningful savings in the water. Attached to this document is the budget you're looking at. It's around $82,000. The School of Mines worked with me. The final budget they put together for this project is like $77,159. There's a disclosure of how these things. Again, when it says when money comes to me, it would be to research facilities, it would be for testing, and of course there's going to be some irrigation equipment bought by the city, there's going to be compost transported, incorporated, some fencing, some seeding, some weather data collection and so forth, so to do this. I view this as so important because one of the classes I took in this last semester was on water policy and water law, and it was a reading course. And I read about 6 books. And they all talk about issues, and the one's called the Cadillac Desert, the other one, the Great Thirst, the Big Twins Thirst. They're all books about the water issue, especially in the western U.S., Australia, India, other places. It's a worldwide issue. We have it here. We can't ignore it. We can do some work and find out what we can do to save our water, make it more effective, and make it last longer. And like the USGS guy was talking about, we don't know the mass. We have tremendous resource in our water. A little stream that goes by us every day. It's about 60 CFS average a year. It produces enough water for itself and it's in the aquifer to support about 100,000 people, 70,000 in our city. It's phenomenal. We need to do everything we can, not only to protect the quality of that water, to make sure we have the volume that we're going to need to produce and provide for our future population and our growth. I want to show something, if you wouldn't mind. You may be able to see it from here, but you might want to just come up to the table. I want to demonstrate this. These are soil samples that were taken from the very site that we're going to do the research at. And I took the samples and worked with it, NRCS, USDA, Katrina Wilkie. We brought the soil into the lab at School of Mining, mixed it up, applied compost by 5% and 10% in the green. This one here has zero compost in it. This says 5%, this says 10%. We're gonna time the water, and I can share with you that in the results we've done this winter, the average percolation infiltration test on the non-compost was about 4 minutes to put 900 grams of water through. The 5% was about 0.44, about 44 seconds, or 44% of a minute, about 30 seconds. And the other one was about 50 to 60 seconds. And the one that's got more compost in it, you would think would infiltrate quicker. For some reason it didn't. Part of it is I think it has to do with the soil. I'd like to demonstrate it because I think it is impressive. What we're trying to show is by adding compost into the soil, where we irrigate, that the water will enter into the soil and be available for plants way quicker than if you land apply it without it. When land is watered by irrigation, by sheet flow or by irrigation sprinklers, if it doesn't penetrate the soil, it either runs off or evaporates and we lose it. In this way, if we can save the amount of water it's infiltrating and get it in it quicker, we won't have to water as long, and we're going to save, hopefully, a significant amount. So if you would, I'd come up and I'll just demonstrate this for you. I got my wife Patricia here, my able assistant. This is not a magic show. I'm not going to make water disappear, but now I'm going to start the timer on this one, maybe, and this is going to be the longest. This is the soil without the compost. Won't get muddy. Ready? Okay, so the water gets starts set up. Now that's going to take a little while.
Yeah, be home by midnight.
Yeah, let's do all three at the same time.
We're going to.
Where you going afterwards? We're not gonna stay here that long.
It won't be that long. This one is 5%. No, you just keep the watching that one, please. Right. It'll be about 30 seconds. We've been doing this all the spring.
That's got
5%.
5% more.
It's about 50 ton an acre. Seconds. This one's still running at what? Let 1 in 15 seconds. This one's gonna probably run slow. I might as well take advantage of the stage. Okay. question is, in irrigation, there's a lot of concerns about water in irrigation. Carry salts into the soil.
What's that, 20%?
Yeah. 10%. You know, if you look at over 10%, the natural organics content of our prairie grasses is around 5% when we moved out here 100 plus years ago. Now down around 2 or 3% some places. It's depleted. So by demonstration, 5% is like 50 ton per acre. If you put 50 ton application onto a farm or ranch, that's 2 semi-loads. It's going to cost about $300 to get it all. It's going to cost about the same amount to incorporate it. So that's where the issue is. It isn't that it isn't good. It isn't that they don't want it. It's just the cost of transportation exceeds their ability to pay for reasonably heavy cattle, especially in today's market. But if we can get a use for this that's beneficial to the ag industry, we can save water, we're in a win-win situation. That's the whole point of this research. Often the question is, hasn't there been research on this before? And I haven't been able to find it. Other people have looked, let me finish. Other people have looked at what compost does for moisture content. It'll increase the ability of the soil. If you increase the organic content by 1%, it'll provide about 26,000 gallons more water available for plants. But I have not been able to find where someone has actually done the infiltration test the timing and put it to the value of the water. Now, if you get the water in there quicker, first of all, it's taking less time, which is less pumping time, less evaporation. And probably if you're trying to get tight clay like this, moisture, and you gotta wait that long to get it down there, you're gonna lose a lot more evaporation. We're gonna determine it. That's what this whole purpose of the research is. And I went back and looked at Rapid Creek. It's like I said, 60 CFS cubic feet per second. Rapid City produces about 3 billion gallons of water. What did I say that is? 44. Closer than it usually is. Stand by. Good, stop.
4 minutes?
4 minutes, 43 seconds. There's been a lot of research on irrigation, and a lot of research on soil health and soil structure, but I've not found where there have been studies on what can be saved by application of compost. Those of you that don't know me very well, 25 years ago, I came for 30 years ago, I came to work in City Rapid City. We had landfills that were closed in 10 years. We started looking at ways to make it last longer. And the one thing we did start doing was composting yard waste, and then we started composting the municipal solid waste, the organic fraction of garbage. I'd say the potential is about 20,000 ton a year. It's about enough to put out 4,400 acres. We have unlimited acreages that we use it. We just need to be able to afford to give it to them. And how much water are we gonna save? But we can save, if we're pumping out 7 million gallons a day for irrigation during the summer for 6 months, if we can save 20% of that, what's that mean? If we look at 150 million gallons of water pumped out of the creek that goes to Arrowhead, Meadowbrook, and Exact, if we can save 20 or 30% by incorporating compost into their soils, what's that worth? It's worth it. Water's not worth much until we're thirsty. I am open for questions. I would request wholeheartedly your support. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. I didn't have an answer for you. And I went back to school at 69 years old, and it took everything I had to stay awake and learn and get through finals, okay? But the coursework is basically done. And the research is gonna start next couple of weeks. I've got the funding from the city to get started. I need your help. When we get going a little longer, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources has expressed an interest in supporting this, but I can't submit for their funding until July, and they don't award till September. We've also submitted requests in the USDA and our CS on the innovative water conservation program. If there's more money available, I'd like to expand this into a demonstration on a larger scale where people can actually feel and see the difference. I mean, we have friends and neighbors throughout the Black Hills region, Belfouche, China River, Rapid Creek, all using water from those creeks to irrigate. What can we do to help it? And what is the possibility of this to help the nation in the world strategically, tactically, and providing water food to our population? Question?
Is this a free compost that comes out of
Basically, yes.
It's just about $20 a ton,
Yes.
and so 20,000 tons to cover 400 acres.
Well,
Amended into that acreage. Soil, tillable soil. So, just think that we would.
How much money are we thinking of?
Well, that's $400,000 for compost. 20,000 tons, like $20 a ton, I bought it.
That's a lot of money.
So, the value of the water, and most of the ranchers, some farmers have cost of pumping, through up to municipal water supply.
well, if they're pulling out of Madison or like Ogallala down in Nebraska and Texas, they're pulling the water high. It's expensive, and they're finding out you're starting to see the affordability. Western South Dakota, most irrigation is on the Cheyenne or here, or in Belfouche, and a lot of places are going to sprinklers. But that takes a pump, that takes power. If we could save on the amount of water supplied to get the crop, the water is available for each of the it's kind of, and Dan was with the city years ago, and Mike Strube, we started looking, how can we save water, how can we conserve water? Because we're growing, there's only so much water.
Are there landscapers in the area that are mending soil, like,
Not like
a
they should,
certain percentage of compost is topsoil?
not like they should be.
There are some.
There's some, but unless it's immediately planted with a complete cover crop, the problem is, if you have 3 dry days in South Dakota, this soil weighs 5 times as this, and you lose all of that to the wind. And that's the reason they don't do it.
Well, there's
Because
another
the
reason.
contractor, that's
That's
one
why
of the things they
no-till.
flag the most in the city is dust control. Anytime we do it.
That's similar, the concept is same as no-till.
The mended soil is down before sod.
Well, that's what needs to happen, I think we need to show to the city of Rapid City in particular, that you will conserve X gallons of water in your irrigation program. We're pumping 7 million gallons to irrigate, why are we doing more with the lawns? What can we do? We had a utility program where we bought low-flow toilets, we bought low-flow this and that. And we should do some more on the compost. When we do a project for the city, are they incorporating compost as well as they should be?
Sioux Park has some, didn't it?
Yes.
And
Nordimer Field had a lot.
We use someone that never gets golf course.
Never golf
Then we were talking about, wasn't related to water necessarily, but just the value of compost and becoming, mining areas at the cement plant. That's the one I remember, that was just
We had
amazing.
Rome that we went broke,
And grow mine, yeah.
and we shipped a truck to Hill, did that reclamation about 15 years before, and I'm still working for a living.
And you have to figure also that Mother Earth reclaims her own with this compost mixture here. In about 5 years, it's gonna be the same as that right there. It's going to decompose enough to where it's gonna seal the surface of the ground.
If you put 10% in, once it gets down to a carbon nitrogen ratio down to humus level, it will cease to decompose. It'll be balanced. But that's why we're looking at 10% versus 5%. It's gonna gain, no question about it. Get better crops,
The
better.
other thing, if you look at this water bill, there almost looks to be less water in it than these 2 bills.
If you can-
Farmers want the water in their soil, they don't want it to go through.
Like I said earlier, increase your organic compound content by about 1%, you'll increase the holding capacity within the root zone about the top 8-12 inches of the soil, about, I think it's 26,000 gallons of water available to the plants. I learned a lot by going back to SDSU in soil science, learning what water availability is, field capacity, and soil structure and the standpoint from the egg. I was used to it as an engineer.
Well, that's, I'm glad you went there, 'cause those people,
Yeah. Dr. Kumar is very interested, they're aware of it, so I think it's a wonderful
I'm not an
project.
ag guy.
I have become one because of it.
I,
Like if you're using the pasture or, a no-till cropland, and you apply the compost by top dressing?
You can, but the one problem with compost is it's hydrophobic because of the carbon nature of it and the ions with water, and also because it produces a little wax. If you take some of this and put it on the ground and put water on it, it'll shed it like water off a duck. Incorporate it in the soil, it takes once it's wet, it's wet.
So you have to till it in.
That's the best way. Now, if you put it on the surface and get it super wet, it works great. We've taken, one of the contractors used to try to tell me that, well, your compost killed the grass. And every year at the home show, we'd have pans of compost growing grass this tall. It doesn't kill the grass. It's a water dehydration. Or something like that. And it costs more money to do it. If you're bidding a job and you bid to put this in and the other guy doesn't, guess who's gonna get the job? The guy that doesn't.
The value of water is going up, if you buy an acre, you buy an acre foot water from rain, you pay $50,000.
If you want an interesting story, read The Big Thirst. It's a story about water issues, and one of the most classic is Las Vegas. Yes,
How much is the
Yes,
city
money
chipping
really
in
runs.
I'm sorry?
How much is the city chipping in?
About 50,000. 40,000.
And that's in the hopes of dealers of selling the property.
I don't know about selling it, getting it used. And DNR has the same attitude because they're taking a waste product and making, actually two waste products, biosolids and yard waste and or garbage, and making usable product. But I noticed in, one of your goals, your mission is better utilization of our water resources through water conservation. Spot on for that.
You
Other
got
questions?
Three zeros on your anticipated funding. You spoke to these. What's your response time from each of those zeros? And have you requested from each of those sources?
Your zero is SDSU?
I guess DNR.
SDNR, I think we will apply in July, and we'll have it in September.
How much are you asking?
I think I'm gonna go for 50,000.
50,000?
That's going to be, take us up to a bigger scale,
What are you asking for us?
25.
And the other two items, Jerry, what's the request and timing on those? Economic Development Fund and USDA, I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ask economic development for money. This rearrangement where it put zeroed out, this is for the $83,000 project. There was a budget for about $250,000 for all of those players were in it. SDNR was for 50,000, and then you had USDA and RCS for 50,000, for 75. This is strictly to fund basically 1 year of research. It's the city funding, your funding, locally.
I've seen the only community in South Florida that has MSW.
Yes, I think we're one of the few communities in the nation that does MSW composting. One of the few, and maybe the only one that actually does it as well as we do with biosolids.
Did you mention, right, do we use the biosolids from the water reclamation plant in the composting process?
I don't, does everybody understand what we're talking about, what the biosolids are? That is the solids that precipitate from the filters or the settling plant.
At the water reclamation plant.
At the wastewater plant, sewer plant.
Sewage.
It's transported by a pneumatic trailer. It's transferred into a tank, pumped into the mixing drums. If you have not been to the recycling facility, it'd be well worth a trip for a tour. And the drums are turning, and we bought them from Portland about 20 years ago. At a yard sale, we got them for about 20% of the cost. We inject the sludge into there, and it's about 92% water, so we're gaining moisture, we're not taking water out of the hydrant. We're gaining the organics, which are a feed product for the biocomposting process, and we're solving a problem with biosolids, because prior to that, we were land applying them over here, and when you over-apply, you get a nitrate buildup and other issues with groundwater and surface water. And if you don't do it on a concentrated basis, then you have to have acres and acres and acres of land to do it, and your transportation costs are phenomenal. So the savings we did to the city going both ways is phenomenal. We just need to demonstrate what this will do, and you just saw what it will do.
Yeah.
Jerry, this is incredible. I can see that you put in a lot of time. And I'd
Thank
like
you.
to- And I'd like to see this done, but I don't see where you fit in. You have to explain to me one more time where you fit in. You're not with the city, you're not with the school of mines.
Sam,
Oh, okay.
let me back up. I'm a
Oh, you're a
PhD
student.
candidate. I am the student.
No, wait a minute, hold it. You are not representing, I know you're a student, come on. Don't, you're not representing the school of mines. And how come we don't have a representative with you tonight in the school of mines? Because that's where you're the student. You're the student, not the professor.
I'm representing Dr. Kenner, who's PI, primary investigator, my sponsor.
And he's not with you tonight, it wasn't important enough for him to come for you tonight?
I don't need it for that. It's gonna be sponsored by the School of Mines. I'll be doing research at the School of Mines. I'm the PhD candidate doing the research at the School of Mines. The money would go to the School of Mines, it doesn't come to me, it's a contract for them, it's a research project.
I never had a student come to me representing the school in which he is. Usually well, I'm gonna ask Emily, how does that work? The School of Mines, we do give grants out for such kind of surveys and things. How does that work? Who comes to see us and how do we make that decision?
Well, it can be done either way. I mean, when Kelsey did the pathogenicity study for Rapid Creek, she came and presented on it because she was the PhD student, just like
Okay,
Jerry.
okay.
And you funded it?
Money goes to school.
Yeah, it's just the same thing. It's just the paperwork, the paperwork's exactly the same.
The professor was
just-
also here at that time, at least once.
With
Like I said,
Kelsey, right?
With Kelsey. Kelsey came alone, I think, this the last time.
But doesn't
I feel,
the grant help pay her tuition?
The budget in there,
at
there's
the
probably,
time, I'm sorry, at the
It doesn't with
time,
him though.
No, that's
It
what,
did for Kelsey, yeah.
was representing with
that might be a point.
someone from, the professor from the School of Mines, right?
At least one time they were
At
both
least
here.
one time.
I think I can explain the difference.
Yeah, that's what I,
Good. I've been told I'm the only PhD student that showed up with the project in funding. It's normally not done that way. A student is going to school, graduate school, gets master's, does research funded by Department of Energy, DOT, whoever it is, Federal Highway, whoever does it. The university selects a student to do the research, it's applicable, and compatible, and they move on. And that's probably what happened in this case.
There are hundreds of research on compost. We know it does good. There's no, I don't think anybody would deny that using compost in your ground is gonna increase the use of it. I don't see where your study's gonna make, you need to be studying how to get it to the farmer or get it somewhere where it's reasonable and costly enough to use it. It's
That's
not
what-
the fact that it works.
That's what this is about, Robert, because
I don't.
there hasn't been, I have not found, and no one has in it that's talked to me, found research where they've done the water conservation perspective of putting it in an irrigation district.
I've read some.
And if you look at a farmer that has property out here in western South Dakota raising wheat at 30, 40 bushels an acre at $3 a
It's all
bushel,
no-till.
but he can't afford to put a couple $1,000s into the ground, yes.
They do that every year when they till in the fall, for that reason. If you go between here and Wonderwood, there's sunflower crops. Well, they don't need those stalks to just dry out all winter, they till them into the soil to put in compost, and they till their soil for prep for next year. So you're gonna have a hard time explaining to me why a guy who has compost on his site that's been delivered already has to go to the city to get more and then truck it out.
We're going to increase the organics by 3 or 4%. You're not gonna do that, I don't think, by plowing in the sunflower. They'll get there, they're gonna gain some, but they're not gonna get the amount we want. What we're looking at is a solution, a use for the compost that will benefit the conservation of water. And if If we can show that the conservation of the water to the city or to any other producer or need of that water, then they can help supplement, get this product to the farmer. We don't see trucks from farms coming in by the groups out there, we just don't, because they can't afford it. They can't afford it. And yes, there's tons and tons of research on soil structure and compost, what it does, the nutrient value and all that stuff, but I have not found one yet that is doing what I'm proposing to do. And you've seen what it does.
Jeanette?
You also have other funding, we're not the only ones that are getting funded.
Right now I have one funded.
We have the city will fund,
Yes.
what percentage?
They're at about 45,000.
What
Leon,
percentage?
Leon, can you bring up, is that on, it's on your page in front of you, toward the back pages,
Leon?
I guess.
It's the very last page, the very last page of the budget.
Okay, read it.
City of Rapid City is funding 25,000 and 14,000 in kind.
14,000 at a time.
No, in kind. There's 25,000 cash and then $14,000 they're gonna buy the weather station, they're gonna buy the sprinkler system, they're gonna buy the fencing, they're gonna buy the seed, they're gonna pay for the trucking for the compost to be on, it's gonna be incorporated, and all that kind of stuff. They're paying for that.
Okay, and then you want the balance from us,
25,000.
and so they're just the two of us, right?
We're gonna be going for later for more money to expand, but for now, yes.
I'm sorry, now I had to go in both areas, I wanna hear it from you, I normally listen to you.
This point for request of funding at this time is only with the City of Rapid City, West Dakota, to begin this project, yes.
Just to begin. Will you have funding for both of us at the same time, or are you just asking us to fund you first until something, until the city can do it, or?
No, the city's already committed, the city's already committed. City's already committed, that's done deal.
So you have that when you need it, or when you need it.
The
You might-
contract is not with me, it's gonna be with the school money, yes.
Okay. Other expenses under personnel, it says for one grad student that the city's paying for. Are you a grad student?
No.
So there's a second grad student?
We'll be a student assistant, yes, doing data collection, data analysis, and beginning to do some research. Student, they call it student labor. I'm paid for.
You might list that as somebody else that's helping you. The federal government's helping you,
What?
paying your
The
bill.
United States Army's paying mine.
The United States Army's paying him 13,000. That's going in the pot too.
That's his GI Bill.
Yeah, but it's so,
Well, that's tuition and plus, yeah, they're paid in
it's
truck.
important.
So I do ask because it's a very worthwhile project, very good project. And if you're looking at water conservation, this is one place to start. And I understand there's gonna be a second reading, or since I was here last year, will this count as the second one?
This would be the, there was no dollar amount before, so this would be the first.
Okay,
vote
fine, that's
On
fine.
the funding, again, and then, James.
You know, from what I see of it, Jerry, you know, it's a very good presentation and everything. I come off San Joaquin Valley, and they've been studying composting and peat dirt for centuries. And they haven't found an answer yet of just what particulars that you have to mix. And, you know, peat dirt is the most nutritious soil on the earth. And when we're gonna make it up from sludge and soil like that, and get it to the field to make a difference, they found it cost them more. If one dry year, they cost more than what they could put on it in 5 years. So I think you're at a never-ending battle here until you can prove that you can get this stuff on the soil and it's gonna stay there.
It will stay there, it'll be there. When you talk about San Joaquin, the biggest issue out there, a lot of it is salinity, salt, irrigation well.
Now, I'm talking about the San Joaquin Valley around Stockton, Modesto, Sacramento.
Salinity is a huge issue out there. That's due to poor soil. Okay.
I was gonna ask one more question on the second page of this report, the proposal. It states 6 different years of production of compost at Rhapsody, landfill and MRF. You were saying 20,000 tons, is that the maximum capacity if it were If it were right now, the value's on here, about
If they were producing everything they could, I'd say it's in the 20,000 range.
See one year, they got half that far. So, after we had the big windstorm and a lot of trees and the rain kept that right. So, we're trying to figure out where your numbers were compared to.
Okay, there's about 85,000 ton a year of garbage in the Rapid City. Approximately 50% of that is organic. About half, that's about 40,000. About half of that will be broken down. It could be used as a compost. That's 20,000. With 6,000, give or take, of yard waste. So I think 20,000 is reasonable.
That increased cost to the city then to manufacture that much more compost?
No. If we got the waste, that's why we take care of it. We don't handle it. That's already funded by the Department of Public Works, City of Rapid City. It's always, what we're looking for is beneficial use of that compost that will benefit the conservation of water and quality of water.
Do we have a number of tons sold or hauled? I know the MSW is, freight. We take it off each side of,
Yep.
but the 3/8 is 20 bucks a ton, so do we have a record of what's sold out there?
They do. I can tell you, when I retired in 2010, we were selling roughly $80,000 a year of yard waste. And the MSW at that time was giving away, I'm on the city council, I haven't had a reading on how many tons it produced. But I can tell you what the capacity is, and I can tell you what they could do. And they've done it, I'm not in charge of records anymore. I can tell you what, it's there. This is research that has some benefit to the entire, not just Rapid City, I think to the entire country. I believe that. Just like your question about San Joaquin. There are water issues. If you read the book, The Cadillac Desert, or The Big Thirst, or any one of those, The 21st Water Issue, or any of those other publications on water, there's some real issues out there that we don't even know, we aren't even conscious of or aware of, because we're not there. Australia went through a tremendous drought.
It's a two-vote, process, right?
Should be a few votes.
And the first vote is tonight.
Maybe.
Okay. Getting around it. I'm getting a little slow, Jerry, but I'm getting around it.
Any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. Or you can call me later. And I'm most capable of representing this project. I don't need department chairman here. You can trust me. We talked this
Because
afternoon.
you're so important.
We talked this afternoon. No, I can handle this. He knows I know this big.
Well, so, you're good.
Contracting is handled by the School of Mines, not me. And it's formal. Contract would be between them and you.
See, I just know you guys are just good buddies, and that's why he's not coming.
You trust me.
What the hell's that got to do with it?
If you don't trust me, tell me why.
When somebody asks for this much money, I do need the credibility. And when you come to us, you're not coming as a city councilman, now you're coming as a student. And to have somebody like a professor with you, no matter how smart you are, you're probably smarter than a professor, who knows?
I know about
But
that.
that gives you the credibility for asking, there has to be some credibility there. And that's all I'm looking for, but I like this idea. It's really intriguing to me.
I'm sure I can get Dr. King here next time if he's in town. I'll get somebody here. That's what it takes. I would get Heather Wilson here, but she's leaving. So.
Isn't that great? No, seriously, that would make a difference to me.
Boy, this is an extremely legitimate upfront.
Wow, yeah, sure, I'm not thinking that you're doing anything
Good.
shady. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Can you call the vote?
No vote to be had yet.
I'll make a motion that we fund Gary's project at 25,000.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Now we can have discussion.
Mind if I sit down? 'Cause
Let's take a chair. We need to back Troy up. Any discussion on the motion, James?
I think it's a slight conflict of interest that he's a city council member and getting money from the city, even though it can be argued it's for the better good of mankind, he's the student that will be getting the credit for it. It's still a conflict.
Aren't you ending your service with the city council this spring?
Yeah, I'm done July fifth, about 6:40 p.m.
When did you get the approval for it?
From Director of Public Works,
When?
about 3 weeks ago.
So you're still.
When the fuck did you get elected?
I hide nothing. I told you, no conflict with them. I'm not working for the city of Rapid. I don't expect to sell anything to the city of Rapid. I'm doing peer research, better my community, period. That's it.
Okay.
I still have the feeling we're paying to reinvent the wheel. Cause there has to be research all over this
No, there
world,
doesn't.
exactly the same thing he's doing.
Any other discussion? Okay, those in favor of 25,000? Oh, excuse me. I was looking around and I didn't, come on up.
They're gonna wake me up first.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
I've read everything here and I think it's a very nice document. But I just Googled, soil studies and tests and compost studies and tests, and there's over 100,000 came up on Google. So, number one. Number two, this board agreed last year, or the year before last, I think, to quit giving out money for students, and the professor comes in and we grant a project to the School of Mines, not to the student. So that's a way that we've done, it's been done for about a year now, so, or a little more. So,
Any other public comment? Kim?
I don't have that same recollection that we ever had to have a professor make that presentation. I think the professor usually speaks on behalf of the student, and usually that happens because the student doesn't have the experience to make the presentation for a group. They don't know how to do it. And Jerry is certainly comfortable speaking in front of a public meeting, so I kind of see where it's a little bit different. He's speaking on behalf of the school of mine. Mike's going to school of mine. Because he just walked in the door and did it.
Excuse me, you have a budget prepared by them before you, that's their document.
I would say I would have preferred that a professor was there, but I can understand that he can come and present his project.
Then anybody can just walk off and say, geez, I'm gonna go to the school of mines and just put in my, and then I can come to you, because I've got some ideas I wanna
But
get
it's been
done.
approved by the school of mines. It's not like it hasn't been approved.
I have to see, well.
This
that's okay.
last page here, the school of mines document with the budget on it. It's not, he didn't just make this up.
Oh, yeah. I was just, don't think he was making it up. There's a lot of-
There is a difference, and to be honest with you, Jerry, I have the same reservation. I feel like the professor should be here, but I don't think that disqualifies him. Because one of the things that we talked about, the guidelines that Nathan brought up, is that the person who benefits from the money should be here representing himself. Do you remember that in his little guideline thing? Well, there he is, it's right there.
Can I answer the other question that was brought up earlier about research? Yes, there are thousands of articles out there, or hundreds at least, on compost and compost structure. But I'm telling you, I have not found anything in the document searches that I've made on this subject. I was also a student and worked with Dr. Sandeep Kumar, plant scientist at SDSU, and he agreed, thinks this is a good project. I've also worked with Katrina Wilkie, who is the NRCS USDA soil scientist here in Rapid City. But she agrees with it, and she's not aware of any research in this area. You can check that out, please. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of information. If someone can find research on where someone has done research on how much water is conserved in an irrigation project by the use of a soil amendment compost, I would love to see it. Because I can retire. But I'm also looking out for Rapid City and Black Hills. But it's just not there. There's thousands of articles, no question about it.
Dan, James, and Bob.
We have 2 votes on this. I'm sure if somebody would have, I didn't know we had to have somebody from the school of mine, or I would have to last time we did. I know somebody here from the school of mine, because I've talked to those people personally, and they were good. So, he didn't know what the rules were. Did you, Jerry?
No.
The head school of mine,
It kind of came up the last time.
and I didn't know that either. I mean, you were on the board.
It kind of, it did come up, it has come up there in the
Well,
first year.
It was discussed as to who was going to be the sponsor. That hadn't been determined. That's what was going on. It has been
The
determined.
sponsor would have been somebody coming.
It could have been SDSU, well, it could have been either SDSU or US, or School of Mines, or both.
Okay.
Now it's School of Mines.
But anyway, what I was gonna say is I suggested that Scott Kennedy.
I'll get someone,
One of your professors, your regular, your straight professor that had him come down here, and if you wanna do the same presentation, we can do it again. If we need it here, I would suggest, we have him down here for, if this passes, we have him down here for the second vote. Thank you.
I probably won't break the soil samples along with you unless you really want to see it again. Bob and Jim.
I think your demonstration is really,
It was good.
interesting and, surprising, because I would have guessed that the 10% would have lost a lot more. Could you walk through one more time who we're conserving the water for? Not just the city of Rapid City, right? Or is it?
Let's look at that lake up there. October. Who's that water for?
Well, there
Well, I
are probably
mean,
water
but the-
contracts for the,
If the water is there, it's used by the city of Rapid City, it's used by everybody that's up and down the creek that has a well, for the most part. It's used by Rapid Valley, it's used by Ellsworth Air Force Base. All those people use it for their existence. And protection of that in volume is what this is about. And of course, protection of it is quality is another issue, but that's who it is. If you look across the country, across the world, if you look at the water issues that are out there, I know that some people don't like to talk about climate change, global warming, regardless. There are issues out there created by severe weather situations, drought in particular, that create real serious problems for survival of society and places and businesses. Books are out there, that's what the water's for. Rapid City is for us. Everybody that's used water out of that creek.
the irrigation that's in Rapid City is mainly on, grass and just runs off. The investment, the capital investment, some way of, linking it to having this pay is, kind of key. But I'm still troubled by, for some reason, I can't figure out exactly why, and it's a little concerned because
I don't have a number to give you right now. That's part of the research, is if we do this, we apply this on an irrigation district, if we were as a city to apply this in our urban landscape where we probably 7 million gallons a day during the summer season. If we can save 20–30%, what's that worth in dollars? Can we afford to spend $50,000 a year to have this transported where it would be used? The answer is probably going to be a real quick yes, but I don't know.
And water rights guarantees some of the people down the irrigation on both Bellevue, that's what Rapid Creek. You have to put that much water out, that's why you have that thing. So, if we save water, I'm gonna get, if I'm the farmer downstream, I'm gonna get X amount of water delivered to my site.
But
And I don't see, I can't make that connection back to, you know, I mean, not being a globalist, so.
putting my almost amateur agricultural hat on. When you're a farmer, say in Rapid Valley, and you irrigate and produce primarily forage, and you have an acre full of water to grow your crop. If your soil is amended, it only takes a half an acre feet of water to grow your crop. That's all you're gonna cultivate. That's all you need. You put any more on, it's gonna drown your plants, your waste, if they won't do that. They just won't do that. And in this process, if you look at the stories and the reports on compost and the yield production capability of it, it's plus there.
And the other problem I have is, as I drove in off of bypass, I noticed that Rapid City is moving out on all the flat land, and so irrigation from, you know, is continuing to be just eaten by the fact that they're building houses all the way toward the airport. And so the sales part of this, you have to beat the price you're gonna get for selling your land on this nice flat floodplain. And that's the part that, you know, we're trying to discover is what that percentage is, so that they can calculate that back into whether they wanna continue farming or not farming on that floodplain. I noticed that they were digging right next to the road, and it was 7 or 8 feet deep that they had it trenched, right, and it's all black, just super good farming. Right out, as you drive out, you were able to see.
Towards the airport?
No, go out toward, Queen Boulevard, as you head up that way.
Oh, those are stormwater deals being built for the Omaha improvement project that's gonna happen next year.
And so each one of these new developments is gonna take that land.
That's gonna be flooded. There won't be any building in it. Yeah.
He was talking about the water, I can maybe just throw a few things out here, I'm pretty familiar with what's going on in the city. The downstream irrigators have ditches that they provide water for that land, and they have water rights to the natural flow of that creek. That water up there is stored water. And these stream gauges that the USGS has, that we just talked about, the system uses irrigators, the city, and the Fish and Wildlife is Fish and Wildlife, and things like that, back over about 6,000 acre feet. This is all tied together, and you have a water master up there that releases that water, and the irrigators have to call for the water. Rapid Creek is over appropriated, there's more water rights called for from Rapid Creek that's usually available. So, the ones with the senior water rights get the water first. The city has the senior water rights. Because this is downstream, Murphy Ditch has the highest priority, they get the water first. And in a lot of years, there's not enough natural flow water to provide, or not enough water for the people that have these senior water rights. It just goes back up, but the junior ones have to wait, they have no water. And that's the reason that Dakota was built, and it's the reason that Deerfield was built. And when the contracts came up between the city and the irrigators and the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, I was a public works director, and I negotiated, I and the city attorney and so forth, negotiated with the Bureau. And the city ended up contracting for the storage amount in Dakota of 49,000 acre feet, was 55,000 acre feet available. The other 6,000 acre feet is for fish and wildlife and for recreation. So when that water is used to supplement those downstream users, then they have to pay for that water to the Bureau of Reclamation, to the federal government, to use that water for city purposes or for irrigation. And in Deerfield, there's only 2 people that had access to that water. The city of Rapid City has 7,000 acre feet, the irrigators have 8,000 acre feet. And that's kind of the last resort. Neither one of us have called for that water out of there. In my history, it wasn't necessary, there was enough water at all. So to answer your question, it's a complicated system. The actual distribution of system water into the system is complicated, and that's why there's information that we get from the USGS and all these gauging station is important to manage the water up above Rapid Creek, and that's not only for the citizens of Rapid City, but for the irrigators. So it's very valuable. I mean, the city's not gonna grow if we don't have water. And water conservation, back in 1989, when I went to work for the city, Pack Road was 60 feet down, and 95% of the water they were using came out of Pack Road. And they were worried. And so that's why I
But
went.
how does that work with the compost?
Well,
It takes the water.
water conservation, the city had implemented a water conservation program, so we cut back the amount of water the city produces. Because people would just turn on the faucets and pour the water to the wreck, over water. So that's what the city, and that's why they went into place, because Pack Road was going dry.
Well, how does that apply to what we have to go into?
Well, he's promoting water conservation by another method of conserving water by using, having irrigators. Yes, exactly. So that's another way of conserving water. And this research is gonna show what kind of water conservation, you can do by applying, water to these different, compositions that he's got proposed out there with the water reclamation plan.
I want to throw a number of Jerry, he says a half an acre foot per acre if you're using amended composted soil. Sorry, half an acre foot per acre is what you can get down to for irrigation. If
I
you're
haven't,
using
I
this,
haven't
is that what I heard you
said, know
say?
that it's like 26,000 gallons of water is available in the soil when there's 1% organics increased. I haven't predicted, because I really don't know yet with this infiltration increase, how much water it would take to get to field capacity.
I just thought I heard you say with the compost, you only use a half an acre foot per acre. And your paper said 2.35 average in the country, so I was wondering how to get down to that amount.
That's the thing we need to determine, Mike, is what percent can we save? And that would tell that, the average is 2.35 per acre foot, per acre. I don't know, if we can get 20%, that's roughly.
I'm just trying to compare numbers I was listening before.
But we don't, that's what this research is about,
Joanne,
calculating that amount.
you had a comment?
Just a comment, I wanted to extend Dan's comments about this, like the senior water rights. In the past couple of years, I'm in the office with several DER programs, and water rights was one of them before he got pulled back to, here. But he has had to go out and shut off irrigators because there is not enough water available for all of the water rights in this water system in Rapid Creek. So he is right that senior water rights are very important, but also water conservation is important for everybody that's got a water right.
Did you have something, James? Sorry, Andrew.
Was there anything for the audience?
We're open for the audience, and we're gonna vote.
I just have one comment, and it's kind of to step and address the, not having a professor here. Gary, that proposal has been vetted through your professors in your
Yes.
committee
Yes.
and the budget too.
Yes.
So they've already kind of signed off on that as a whole. Yeah, it'd be nice to have them here, but
I think it would make a difference, but it's not gonna be 100%, but it would be, if you were serious to do that. However, it's not a break that will make it, it's not that big of a deal, but it would be to your advantage, that was my only point. And I don't think I wanna labor it any longer,
There are also staff at SDSU. Dr. Sandy.
I don't wanna go with it, we've said enough on that one.
And I'll be back when you next meeting, July.
Well, we're gonna vote now.
Okay.
All those in favor of the $25,000 appropriation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Do a roll call.
Moss,
Hey.
Yerke,
Yes.
Euler,
Nay.
Akers,
Nay.
Williams,
No.
Steichen,
Aye.
Firelata,
Nay.
Durlow.
Nay.
Motion fails 6-2.
There's probably no point in my returning.
Well,
Is there?
you did a second vote.
No, second, that's all you have.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I know, both of them, I'm sorry, but I thought we had a second vote.
Thank you for the discussion and
That's what, and
presentation.
I asked you that earlier.
All I said was depends, maybe.
You're right, you did.
There wasn't a motion
My
at the time.
mistake.
Wouldn't matter.
I said maybe because there wasn't a motion, so.
But I think as of today, I would accept it, but I was hoping that Jerry would have a second vote for his sake.
May I say one thing? Sure. Very disappointing. Because your issue says better utilization of our water resources through top water conservation. You've never had a better project before you.
Every time somebody gets, and it's really, I understand it, because every time you get turned down, a person does get disappointed. When somebody comes with, and it's my decision to make.
You won't see me in July. I'll shake the dust off my sandals. I'll go somewhere else.
Good luck on your funding, maybe other sources.
I'll finance it myself if I have to.
That's the spirit.
I have to, I'll finance it myself.
That's the spirit.
Thank you for your time. Can you call me? Thank you, Dan, for your lunch.
Item 14, Chairman's comments. We did not have an executive meeting in April. Couldn't get any agenda items put together, nothing cooking, so we didn't have one. So I don't have any comments to bring to that meeting. I don't have any others, so we'll move on to item from directors. Start with Bob. Anything, Bob, from you? Ken? Yeah?
You know, I just want to make an observation for what it's worth. It is disappointing, actually, when somebody works as hard as Jerry did to make his presentation.
Then why did you vote for it?
There was another time somebody had come and we had to figure it out. It is disappointing, it almost breaks your heart. But sometimes it just isn't, the disappointment should not bring the bitterness or to you know. I like Jerry, I like your spirit that you're gonna do it anyway, because that tells me you really believe in it. But I have to tell you, don't be so bitter about it.
I'm not bitter.
It won't work out in the end.
Not bitter. I'm disappointed. I'm really sorry. This board has an issue, in my opinion.
See, those are bitter statements,
Well,
but it'll work out for you, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Jim.
Anything else in there? Anything else?
I
James?
pick up another.
Anything from James? Nope. Ken?
You know, the subject coming down the road here shortly with this drilling for uranium. And I think we should be in on that some way or other, because they're planning on pumping that sludge back into the aquifer. And I don't buy that a bit. And contaminate the whole aquifer clear up to the Missouri River.
EPA was out here, what, last week? For hearings?
It was this week, yesterday and today from 1 till 8, 1 hour break at 5. I was there both afternoons. This topic was discussed for 4 solid hours while I was there.
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to know, you should have been there.
Yeah, Ken Boss. He was interested.
But the reason for this board, main reason for this board is also to conserve the taxpayers' money, put it in our direction.
Some that's 50-50.
Mr. Secretary?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Treasurer? Okay. Items from admin, here we go.
Just, Dakota TV did come out yesterday for us with sampling, and they just like videotaped us setting up and taking the samples below the wastewater treatment plant. And then they were doing some interviews with the School of Mines on their pathogenicity part of it yesterday. I'm not sure when that's gonna air. But they said they are gonna do probably another story on it after we get the data and finish up the project for one about
She's gonna start charging for her signature.
Well, a lot of times they'll put that on the next day's webpage for news articles. Hopefully we get that clip sent to us so we can see it. when they play it, so hopefully they'll let you know when they play it. Anything else from the,
Nothing.
okay? Anything from our public? Still here. Bill, you're the only one who hasn't said anything.
I'm good.
It's all left up to me.
I don't know. See, it's like this a matter of record.
Your name, sir?
What's that?
Matter of record, what's your name?
Let's go down for answer this year. Last meeting that I attended, I got a little close, and I'd like to apologize to everybody on the board and for my actions. I didn't realize I was saying some things that I was saying that was brought to my attention that I did say. And, I apologize for that, because I had absolutely no recollection of it. But I believe the person who told me. So I would like to apologize
Thank you.
for everything that, went down that night. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Anything else?
If people want to be informed of
Identify
the
yourself,
mining
please.
issues, pardon?
Identify yourself, please.
I'm Barry Muxon from the Clean Water Alliance. I live in Rapid City, well, just on the valley. We meet second Saturdays every month at the city library at 9 a.m. Meetings usually last hour, hour and a half at most. We're not reorganized, but we do have a leader, Dr. Elias Jarding. She conducts the meetings, she's grant writing the thing. And uranium mining and Dewey Burdock is our issues. There will be more hearings tomorrow in Hot Springs from 1 till 8 at the Mueller Center, and also in Edgemont on Thursday. I'm not familiar with the site. So if you're interested in going there, do that. And you might learn something, and come to our meetings. We talk about water issues every week, every month, excuse me. And it's a good organization. That's one of the reasons I'm here, is to keep abreast of everything else that's going on.
Clean water.
Black Hills Clean Water Alliance. If you go to blackhillscleanwateralliance.org, that's the website, you'll have a plethora of information.
Very well, thank you. All right, that looks like it's all we have.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Motion granted. All those in favor? Aye. There you go. I'm not asking for a round on that.